here to ask you to get mad. That's right. I came to ask you to get mad. At first, that might not sound like a very Christian request. Asking church folk to get mad. Why church folk? You might ask. Well, my brothers and sisters, it's because you have the values, the godly values that made America great. Your eyes can see the difference between right and wrong. Your hearts can discern between good and bad. And if there's any reason why you should get mad about something, your values, your heart, and your eyes will let you know whether it's proper to be mad, whether it's appropriate to be mad or not. So that's why I'm here to talk with you. There are two kinds of mad. There's the good kind of mad and the bad kind. The bad kind of mad is, he stepped on my foot. I'm going to get him back. I'm going to step on both of his feet. That's the bad kind of mad. But there's also a good kind of mad. He did what? Well, we certainly have to change that. And it's that good kind of mad that I want to talk with you about this morning. It's that good kind of mad that calls you to action, calls you to make changes, that I call you to invite you to on this morning. Now you're probably asking yourself or your neighbor, why does he think we should be mad, and who does he think we should be mad with? Let's talk about government for just a moment, and I'll answer those questions. Since human beings started living in societies, government has played an important role in our lives. Way back, it was kings and queens. Now, presidents and prime ministers. But government plays a very, very important role in the lives of every one of us in so many ways. Now, the Bible tells us what government is supposed to be like. If you want to see the biblical model of government, read Psalm 77, verse 20. Thou leadest thy people like a flock by the hand of Moses and Aaron. So, Bible-centered government should be like Moses, like a shepherd, leading and guiding with love and with protection and with assistance up the ladder of life. Bible-centered government. Same idea is in Psalm 78, the 52nd verse. But he made his own people to go forth like sheep and guided them in the wilderness like a flock. Almost like a mother hen spreading her wings and protecting her baby chicks. Government is supposed to be like Moses, like the shepherd, like that mother hen. And we are the flock, the baby chicks. The word is crystal clear. Government has the responsibility to lead, to guide, and to protect. Crystal clear. Now, there are three things that government can do. Government can stand back and do nothing, be neutral. But no good shepherd is neutral. No good shepherd would just stand back and let the wolves devour the sheep. The second thing that government can do is to help. It can assist, it can create opportunity, help us up the ladder of life. I remember the 1950s and 60s, I was in the civil rights movement, and we had some very difficult days from time to time, dealing with the governors of Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Alabama. A lot of us were beaten, some of us were killed. I still have scars from those days. what government did, what the federal government did, is it sent down federal marshals and federal troops to protect children who were trying to get into schools and demonstrators who were demonstrating peacefully in the streets. That was an example to me, early in my life, of government being the good shepherd, government protecting its sheep, protecting its flock. Now, I said government could do three things. It could stand back and be neutral, or it can help lift us up. The third thing that government can do is to hold us down, is to push us down, hold us back, prevent us from moving up the ladder of life. When government does that, that becomes a problem. The shepherd is no longer a good and wise shepherd. The shepherd becomes a bad shepherd. When that shepherd comes forth with policies that hold us down, that hold us back. Remember Saul. He made his people go forth like sheep and guided them through like a flock. Guided them through. Not misguided. Government holding us back, pushing us down, is a bad shepherd. So, my brothers and sisters, I have 5 examples of government policies holding us back, pushing us down. And those are the 5 reasons why I think that you should be angry. Number 1, from the time that this country was formed in the late 1700s, all the way to the 1960s, America was a praying nation. We prayed. When I was in school, we prayed 3 times a day, K through 12, every day. At the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, and blessing at lunch. We learned, we were taught that there is a master, and he's watching. James, Jesus' brother, said, draw close to God and he will draw close to you. I guarantee you that one way to draw closer to God is by praying. Prayer has the power to lift individuals, families, whole nations from desolate and disconsolate moments. Romans, at the 5th chapter and the 8th verse, declares that God commendeth his love toward us in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Jesus loved us so much. He loved us so much that he came here in human form, suffered incredible pain and crucifixion. The very least that we can do to repay that love is to pray and to praise him. But our shepherds let a small minority come into our house and stop us from praying. Come into our schools and snatch the prayers right out of our children's mouths. Prayers should flow to the heavens from throughout this country. This is our house. This is God's house, God's nation. We cannot permit our shepherds to go against prayer, against our God. We cannot permit that. Secondly, over the past 12 years, government has gone on a wild, drunken spending spree. They spent over $18 trillion. The economists say that your great-great-great-grandchildren will be still paying off this debt. Some say that it will never be paid off. That $18 trillion debt has put this nation close to bankruptcy and in great danger. We are in danger of losing our nation just because of this out of control spending. All of us will lose. Our shepherds have built roads and bridges in foreign lands, while our roads and bridges crumble. They have employed hundreds of thousands of workers in foreign lands, while our workers have sat idle, their families going on welfare and food stamps. Part of that $18 trillion went to bail out some Wall Street banks. Part of it went to bail out some big corporations, and part of it, some millions of it, went to some friends of the president, the so-called green industry. The industry has already gone out of existence. The big banks and big corporations and those green industry folks are friends of this administration in Washington, D.C. They're big donors. They gave big bucks and they got big favors. But average Americans did not get any favors. Working families did not get bailed out. We didn't get roads or bridges. We didn't get big projects. We didn't get jobs. The fat cats are feasting on that $18 trillion. But we, just plain folk, the only thing that we got was somebody saying, I feel your pain. If you feel our pain, do something about it. Government is supposed to be the good shepherd, watching over us, caring for us, creating opportunity and prosperity. That shepherd in Washington, D.C. is not a Moses. His policies over the last 2 years have put more people on Social Security disability than on jobs. I know you didn't hear what I said. In the last 2 years, the policies of this federal government, our shepherd, those policies have put more people on Social Security disability. And many people deserve Social Security disability. That's not my problem. The problem is that the policy puts more people in receiving than more people in paying. Who's going to pay for the folks here if there's nobody working over here and paying taxes? It's a train wreck waiting to happen. Compare that to the policies of Louisiana. In Louisiana during the last, 8 years ago, we were 42nd in the nation in creating jobs and economic development. Today we're number 5 in the USA. Government working with business to create jobs, economic development. I said that those shepherds in Washington, D.C. were on a wild, drunken spree. In Proverbs, the 31st chapter, 4th and 5th verses, it's written that it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink. That was written when kings and princes ruled government. Today, if it were to be written, it would say, it is not for presidents to drink wine, nor for senators strong drink, lest they drink and forget the law, and they pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. And at the 9th verse, open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of poor and needy. They must have been drunk to spend $18 trillion. They surely have not protected the afflicted, nor the poor, nor the needy, nor the rest of us. If this economy crashes, who will be hurt? Not the fat cats whose money's already in the Swiss banks. It will be American families, American taxpayers, working families, the middle class, elderly. If our DC shepherds had spent that money here, we wouldn't have any poor or needy. because every able-bodied American would be working. Everybody would have one of those good jobs, like the jobs that we created in foreign lands, paid for and funded by American taxpayers. We should be mad. And if you're not mad yet, just look at what government is doing to our children. Third reason. Proverbs in the 28th chapter, in the 18th verse, says, "Whosoever walketh uprightly shall be saved, but he that is perverse in his ways shall fall at once." Think about that and our children. He that is perverse in his ways will fall. The question is, are we raising our children on a godly path or on a perverse path? It's a very simple issue. And if you want to get the answer, just look at the ungodly garbage that the government permits us to put into our children, into their eyes, their ears, into their souls every day through the television, radio, music, video games. The garbage teaches our children the values of materialism and the ways of violence. They learn to disrespect women and everybody else. They learn killing from the garbage that our shepherds permit to come into our homes. And then everyone acts surprised when our children start killing each other, when our little angels behave like devils. We act surprised when we have an epidemic of children shooting each other, of college shootings and school shootings, street shootings. We act surprised when the video glorified thug life has thousands of young men in orange suits lined up to fill up our jails. It's no surprise. We shouldn't be surprised. We put garbage into them. What do we expect? Proverbs said, "Whosoever walketh upright shall be saved, but he that is perverse shall fall." Our children are being raised in perversion, and they're falling. Our lambs are falling. And the government is helping push them off the cliff. Our shepherds are pushing the lambs off the cliff. That is not a good shepherd. That does not meet the biblical version of what a good shepherd should be, what government should be. The answer is simple. Make your government outlaw the garbage. When I was a boy, it was illegal. This stuff hasn't been always legal and available. When I was a young man, it was illegal. But today, government has permitted this smut, violence, to be put into our homes and into our children. Some people are concerned about the environment. They want to keep poisons out of the air. If we want to keep poisons from entering our lungs from haystacks, we certainly should keep poisons from entering our children from electronic media. Education. 2,000 years ago, Paul, in his letter to the Ephesians, emphasized the importance of education to the communities that he was building. He said in the 4th chapter, in the 11th and 12th verses, he gave some apostles, and some prophets, and some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers, for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying or teaching or educating of his people. Education was crucial back then. It's no less crucial today. Today our education system is worse than it was 50 years ago. Earlier this morning I was talking to a young man who graduated 40-something years ago. A lot later than I graduated 50-something years ago. And we were talking about how education has changed over the decades. 50 years ago, American education was number one on planet Earth. Today, we're around 27th among industrialized nations. Many of our children are stuck in classes plagued with violence and disruptions. Half of our schools are poorly performing. Our dropout rate has skyrocketed. Our schools produce more dropouts, drug dealers, and single mothers than college graduates. As Christians and as taxpayers, we should be outraged. Let me say that again. Our schools produce more dropouts, drug dealers, and single mothers than college graduates. If you're not mad by now, I don't know. If we don't demand changes in our education system, our children will continue to be unprepared for the industrial and technological jobs of tomorrow. And our streets will continue to be made dangerous by uneducated, unemployed marauders. That's the result if we don't change our education system. We need to take the violent and disruptive students out of the classroom, put them in a therapeutic environment where their needs can be met, can be addressed, and where the other 29 children in their classroom can get an education. We need more alternatives to the broken public school system. Until that system is fixed, charter schools and voucher programs and virtual classrooms and homeschooling, any technique that can be used to educate our children today because they're in such desperate need of education. I promised you 5 reasons why I think church folk should be mad. We talked about removing God from America and creating a godless society. We talked about policies which send our nation into bankruptcy. We talked about policies which permit purveyors of smut to peddle godless violence and garbage to our children. And we've talked about government policies which have destroyed a once fine education system. But I promised 5 and I've only given you 4. I saved the toughest one for last. It's immigration. Now, let's be completely clear. We Americans are a loving, caring, sharing people. We'll give you the shirt off our back. What we must do today, the problem that we face today is being able to adopt immigration policies that will open our gates and open our doors so that everyone interested in coming can come. But we have to do that in a way that does not injure the people who are here right now, who can stand in line. Let me give you an example. There's a famous tuna fish company operating on the eastern shore of Maryland. It's still operating today. After the Vietnam War, my war, XA, 64 to 68. After the Vietnam War, a lot of Vietnamese immigrants started coming to America. A lot of them, most Vietnamese coming at that time, were Catholic. And so the Catholic Bishop of Baltimore talked to the boss at the tuna company and said, what I want you to do is fire all of your American workers and hire 200 workers and hire 200 Vietnamese immigrants. And the tuna company did it. They did it. There's a young fellow who was the head of the Maryland Commission on Human Relations, found out about it, forced them to hire back those 200 American workers, pay them the back wages that they would have earned had they not been properly fired. And he blasted the bishop on the front pages of the newspaper. You think I'm exaggerating? Late 1974, early 1975. I remember it well because I was that young agency head who addressed those outrageous anti-American shenanigans. If you look it up, look very closely at the pictures, you might not recognize me. I had hands. Let me give you one more example of what we must address before we can open the doors wide and open the gates wide of what we must do to take care of America and Americans who are here. Last year, 2014, August and September, a large number of young people were coming across our borders, basically invited by the president. 1,500 of those young people, mainly 14 to 18-year-olds, were placed in Louisiana. Now, the government didn't talk to the governor of Louisiana about this. Didn't talk to the legislature. I know because I'm there. Didn't talk to us. 1,500 young people were dropped onto the backs of the taxpayers of Louisiana. Let me tell you what happened. In the first 2 months, $1.15 million spent treating the diseases and illnesses that they brought into our neighborhoods. Plus $3.7 million out of the LACHIP program, the Louisiana Children's Health Insurance Program. Plus $10 million for the special education needs of those young people, mainly in 3 school systems. School systems already strapped, already complaining about not having enough money to educate our children. We will share when we have. But when, I'm from the country. Take a 2-pound chicken, you got a family of 8, and you cook that chicken, and you kind of cook a big gravy, so that you can spread, you can feed. But when you have a 2-pound chicken, you do not go down the street and invite the Smiths and the Johnsons and the Fontenot's and the Guillerys to come to dinner with you. And that is what we are doing. We've got to take care of those folks at home. Old people used to say, charity begins at home. Old folks used to say, take care of home first. And that's all that I am saying. I'm saying that we should. It is our moral duty, our responsibility as Christians to welcome. But you got to have something that you're welcoming folks to. And if you're spending all your money in foreign lands and not taking care of home first, then you're not being fair to the people who are here, and you're not being fair to the people you're inviting to come and share in something. I hope that you understand, and I hope that you will commit to making some changes. Government policies, the policies of our shepherds, are hurting America and hurting Americans. They're hurting our children, our parents, our community, hurting our nation, taking God away, spinning this nation into bankruptcy. putting violent, filthy garbage into our children, maintaining a failing public school system, and imprudent, not well thought out immigration policies, all hurt us. We cannot let the shepherds in charge of us ignore us or hold us back. It's okay to be mad. I've asked you to be mad. It's okay to be mad. Jesus got mad when he saw those money changers defiling the temple. He went in and he turned over tables and he kicked over chairs and he drove out the money changers from the temple. Today, we must stand up for ourselves and for our nation. We must get upset. We must get outraged like Jesus did. And we must drive out the shepherds who drive down our nation. We've got to throw out the politicians and policies which take God away, spin our nation into bankruptcy and poison our children and don't educate our children. My brothers and sisters, we must make changes. I call upon you today. I call upon your leadership, upon your values, upon your trust in God and godly ways, and ask that you reject, rebuke, rescind those policies and politicians which are bad for us, which poison us, which make America ungodly, which go against the values of our community, our ancestors, and our God. Christians, it's time for you to stand up and say stop. It's time for us to save America. Like Paul promised in Romans 10th chapter, 13th verse, whoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. It's time for you to stand up and lead America to call upon the name of this Lord, our Lord, that you and your families and this great nation shall be saved. May the Lord shine his light upon you, your families, this beautiful church, and our great nation. Thank you for letting me be here with you this morning.